Good morning, everybody, and welcome. I want to talk a little bit deeper into the car now, since you've got to see it a little bit and experience a little bit of what it looks like. Now let's talk a little bit more about what it is. So think about Lexus GS 350. It comes base standard with 17-inch alloy wheels and 10-way power front seats. Just say that to say there's three different aspects of this. So if we look at the standard model, then we look at the luxury model, we had 18-inch alloy wheels, 18-way front seats, and 3-zone climate control. Then we look at the FSPORT version, and we have 19-inch staggered alloy wheels with the largest rear wheels on any of our Lexus sedans. You'll get a chance to experience that part of it when you drive around the track today. It also comes 16-way power seats and available AWD, and I'll talk a little bit about the seats in just a few minutes. With that, the car is standard with bi-xenon headlamps and available adaptive front lighting system, or AVS. LED headlamps are available on the hybrid vehicle only, and that's the luxury side. And just a little bit about the lights. This is the first time for Lexus we have the low beam and the high beam are LEDs. And then we have, you see the amber light in the middle, that's our turn signal. And right below that is our near infrared light for night view. And then we have the 9-bulb system for our daytime running lamps running underneath it. So a little bit different on our headlamp strategy. Wheels. So I mentioned the base vehicle is a 17-inch wheels with an available 18-inch. Then the luxury model comes with 18-inch standard, and the FSPORT comes with a 19-inch with a different width. The front is 7 and the rear is 8. Then we go to the engine for this car. It's the 2GRF SE 3.6 liter V6 with 306 horsepower and 277 foot-pounds of torque, and that's 3 more horsepower and 3 more foot-pounds than we had on current generation. A little bit to go with that, all of our cars, even the hybrid, comes with a D4S direct and port fuel injection. We did change that a little bit. If you notice the conventional direct injector in the slide here, as well as the W-split direct injector. We've changed that a little bit, and we gained more performance and economy out of the vehicle with that. Intake sound creator. If you like the ISF and the way it sounds when you really step on it, you know, about 3,400 RPM, you get a good engine roar to it. This one has a similar roar to it, and it's in multiple stages above idle, of course. Depending on the intake vacuum and intake pressure, you're going to get a different noise, and it's all created by this sound creator in the intake tube. 6-speed sequential shift automatic transmission with paddle shifters. All of our cars are standard now with the paddle shifters. Left side is downshift, right side is upshift. Then for the transmission, if you put it into manual mode, then you get up to 0.3 of a second quicker upshifts and 0.2 of a second quicker downshifts with throttle blips. Again, that's in the manual mode once you flip it into manual mode. All-wheel drive. We do have available all-wheel drive system, and I guess the biggest part of this is the fact that it is a 30-70 split with a hydraulic clutch in the transfer case that's able to go from a 30-70 to a 50-50. So we can actually compensate that with a wet clutch. Lexus hybrid drive. Comes with 338 total system horsepower on this vehicle, and it comes, the body, the only way you're going to recognize this car is looking at the back of the vehicle for sure, is the fact you don't see any exhaust tips. All of our other cars have the exhaust diffusers on it, and this one actually has them eliminated. Then you have the 450H, of course, on the trunk lid. Then right below the door, we have the hybrid badge, as well as the Circle L will have the blue badge to recognize it as a hybrid. This engine comes as a 2GRF XE, and it's the same 3.5 liter V6, except it's an Atkinson cycle. What's up with that? Well, you think about an Atkinson cycle and being in a hybrid vehicle. We've done it on our other hybrids because the power band is just perfect for a hybrid configuration. And this one, it improves the engine efficiency by up to 35%. You'll notice that if you drive it today on the track. Very, very neat situation. It does come with a 110 hybrid transmission, and this is real similar, or actually virtually the same transmission we have on our current generation, as well as the LS that has the 2-stage. We have a low and a high range for their 2-stage. Power control unit. You know, every generation of our hybrids has had a smaller, more powerful, more economical power control unit, and this one is no different. It's lighter in weight and produces more and better efficiency than we've had on the current generation. Battery placement. This, if you notice in the previous model, we had the battery stacked like this in the trunk, so that took up a lot of trunk space. If you looked in our current generation, you notice it's pretty tight in the trunk, but by stacking the battery in the trunk this way, we gained a lot of trunk space. So make sure you open the trunk and compare it to the competitors. And today you'll have at least 2 competitors out on the track, so you can actually drive the competitors and our car, as well as look in the car and crawl around in the car, see the difference in the seating, and we'll talk a bit more about seating in a little bit. Okay, chassis tuning. This is where this car comes to life, and you really got to grab a hold of this. When you turn the corner or you go into a slalom, what part of the car flexes? It's right in the middle, right? Well, if you'll notice on this car, we've added a lot more braces of high-strength steel in the right places for the flex to come in, as well as we've added a lot more laser welding and increased spot welds in the right places to make sure that if they're going to get a lot of stress in that area, I get spot welds are closer together, less stress, I spread them out, but then I put them in the right place. So all done by computer-aided engineering. You'll get a chance to experience that on the track. Another thing is the hot press material you see on this B-pillar. This is ultra high strength steel that is so tensile strength the fact that you can't press it unless you heat it up. This piece of material has to be heated up to a cherry red and then put in the mold and stamped so it can fit back in the car and actually be it where we want it. So that part of the car is very stiff. When you get in the car and drive it today on the track, make sure you notice how you're able to hold that car at a flat, steady around the course. You know, Lexus has always been noted for its quietness. This just shows a lot of the panels that was added to this car just to make sure that as you're driving the car, and especially if you do the hybrid or the luxury drive today around the track, you get a chance to experience how quiet it is. Wind noise, etc. is very well diminished with all this extra noise and vibration measures. Aerodynamics. This helps us a lot with the same NVH. Because underneath the car you get a lot of air turbulence coming through. So with that we've added a lot of fins underneath as well as flat panels throughout the car that directs the air so it comes out the back of the car in the right position so it's not swirling. You know, you don't get the turbulence to it. So we've tried to think of every area to make sure the car runs through the air real smooth. And on this car is the first time we've had a true dual exhaust. Different for us, but there it is. Okay, in the back of the car, the taillights also have a fin on it, 2 actually fins on each of the taillights to actually direct the air coming around the sides of the car so the turbulence at the back is actually moved away from the car, not to experience the noise that you get with normal air movement. Double wishbone front suspension is forged aluminum, so the upper and lower control arm as well as the spindle is all forged aluminum for lighter weight, less unsprung weight, and actually more rigid than we've had in the past. The rear is multi-link rear suspension, and notice where the spring is. We've taken it off of the strut and moved it underneath the car. Again, we wanted more trunk space, so this allowed us more trunk space inside. Also, in the back of that you see a toe link. In our previous generation we had the toe link rod in front of the cross member. This one we moved in the back, and it's a better control in the back, and you'll notice that again on the track and how you're able to go around the slaloms and actually feel that part of it. But also with this, we're able to add rear steering to the car, and we do have a car out here, a couple of cars with rear steer. You'll get a chance to try that today, and I'll have another slide on that coming up. Adaptive variable suspension. You've seen this for quite a few years on our cars, but this is a little bit different, and notice we have the word heave in here. As you hit a bump, the whole car kind of heaves, right? Well, each corner of the car, up till now, we've used a shock absorber on each corner, electronically controlled, to control the whole heave and action of the car. With our new system, we've actually controlling roll and pitch all together instead of individually. So you'll notice that again on the track. You hit a couple of rough spots on the track, how the car actually handles in those rougher maneuvers, okay? Neat scenario for our new control system. To show that a little bit, I know these slides are a little bit busy. I'll try not to make it too drastic, but we have a twist knob, you know, a drive mode indicator on the console, similar to what we've had on the CT, where you can choose Eco, Normal, Sport, okay? If we have it in the normal mode, and notice this upper blue line is a road course, and this green line is a lateral G-force on the car. Well, down below this, all of these lines is actually the movements of the shock to compensate for what the road is doing up above as it goes around the track. So if I'm in the normal mode, you notice down below we don't have a lot of movement across the looks like 60 seconds of filming. Now that's in the normal mode. Once I go to the luxury model in the sport mode, or sport plus mode, we move from the 1 level, so we have 17 levels, and we start off the first one, last one at the 1 level, we jump this one to the number 3 level and go to 17. Again, notice in the same road course how much more active it is and gives you a little bit stiffer ride. So if in the luxury model in the Sport Plus mode, you'll get this kind of a ride. Once I go to the F Sport vehicle, it changes again. So again, for more sporty ride, the F Sport starts at the 5 level position up to 17, but notice it can even go below the line, so even when I'm on a smoother road, I get still a smooth ride out of it, but I'm able to compensate for the road course as to what I'm pulling with lateral Gs. Interesting concept, but I'm sure you'll feel it on the track today, and check it out. Okay, electric power steering, we've had on all of our hybrid vehicles. We're adding it to a lot of our gas vehicles, so this is very similar, but once we put the car into Sport Plus mode, now we get a different computer control that's going to tighten up the steering. So you get that added to the Sport Plus. Okay, now we've added a new acronym for you to go along with all of our alphabet soup that we've got going along. It is called LDH, Lexus Dynamic Handling, and we'll hit on this just for a little bit. If you think about in the bottom left of the slide, we show our current generation GS without ABS compared to our German 3. And then we add the new GS as a base without ABS here, but with the F Sport with DRS and VGRS, and the DRS stands for Dynamic Rear Steer, and I'll hit on that next. For the rear, we add a rear steering gear right behind the cross member, so now I can actually electronically control the rear tires. I can go from 0 to 2 degrees in either direction. Under about 30 miles per hour, it will go in the opposite direction that you're steering. Over 30 miles per hour, go in the same direction you're steering. So as you're driving the cars today, make sure you have it, if you have it in that Sport Plus mode, you'll feel this rear steer even more. So make sure you check that out. Okay, for the F Sport, we come up with a 14-inch diameter front brakes, and this one is a little bit different for us. We add a aluminum hat with a cast iron rotor. And it's 14 inches I mentioned, but over on the side you notice we have a caulked joint. It's called World's First. And again, this helps dissipate heat. So as you notice the smooth airflow coming up through it with the heat being dissipated out the top. Current brake cooling on our current model. Notice that we have the airflow coming through to cool. New generation, we opened it up so now we can really get cooling to our front brakes. Electric parking brake. We've had this on quite a few of our cars. Actually, the LS460 and the 600 has this similar scenario, but now all of our GSs come with the electric parking brake. Drive mode select switch. I mentioned this earlier, but like I say, we've had this on at least our CT, but notice we have the Eco and push for normal and then the Sport. In the Eco mode, when you have it in Eco or normal, you notice in the center instrumentation you have the blue light comes on. And as long as you're driving economically, the blue light's lit. When you step on it and start getting a little more aggressive, then it kind of dims out a little bit, kind of letting you know you're not driving quite as economically as you want to. Once I put it into Sport or Sport Plus, then it turns into red, similar to what we've had in our other vehicles with this type of scenario. Once we put it in the Sport mode, if you have the 12.3-inch screen I'll talk about in a minute, you come up with a little diagram that shows on your instrumentation showing the throttle angle change. So in the Sport mode, it's going to, remember you step on the pedal a little and I get a greater reaction. And that's kind of what it does in the Sport mode. Once I go to the Sport Plus mode, now I add suspension, VDIM, VSC, steering, transmission shifts, and quite a few other little amenities to where it's going to put you into a plus mode so you can get the performance out of the car that you really are looking for. Okay? In the hybrid model, once I put it in the Eco mode, I get the power meter. And again, similar to our other hybrids, when I put it in the Sport mode, now I get a tachometer instead. Exterior dimensions. This car is 2 inches wider in the rear and over 1.5 inches wider in the front. But now our wheelbase didn't change and our overall length didn't change. So when I look at seating capacity, you got to get in the car. Climb in the car, sit in the back seat, put the front seats all the way back, check out the interior room. because not changing the wheelbase and still getting a roomy interior is really something else. So check it out. Front seating, again, you've seen this on a couple of our other cars. We get the seating set a little bit lower, a little different angle, and the steering column dropped from 23 degrees to 21 degrees. Front seating, again, remember we have 10-way seats, 16-way, and 18-way. On this one, notice we have a pelvic support, so I have 2 lumbars in it. So I have a lower and an upper lumbar setting. Then I have on the 18-way seat an adjustable shoulder support that goes from 0 to 10 degrees. Actually, the top of the seat tilts whichever way is more comfortable for you. So make sure if you're in a Sport Plus or an F Sport or a luxury model, you try that position as well. But it's 18 ways, so remember there's lots of buttons on the side. You'll have to open the door and kind of look which ones you're pushing, or just push and see what you feel, okay? You also get side bolsters to kind of hold you in the seat. So if you're going to do the track, you may want to tighten them up just a little bit. Okay, rear seating, as I mentioned, we got lots of room in the back, so make sure you check it out. In the luxury model, we do add controls in the back for your climate control as well as your audio. We added a new key fob. Probably the biggest complaint we had on our last version was the fact that valet didn't have any place to hang it when they took your key fob and hang it in the box. So this one just added a hanger down on the end so they can actually take care of that. Okay, remote touch. This is our 2nd generation remote touch. Remember the first one you squeeze on the sides to actually select? This one you push down on the controller, so it's again another type of a mouse, so make sure you check that out as well. LED lighting. Now this is kind of dim, but you'll have to kind of bear with me just a little bit. This is the left door. I don't know if you can see it very well up there or not, but underneath this trim panel here, if I look on this side, underneath the trim panel, there's kind of a waterfall of LED lighting that comes on at night. Well, it's on all the time, but you only see it at night. So when you open the doors, it's kind of like a real dim light going down and showing the door. Little different setup for lights. The craftsmanship, as Mark mentioned, you're going to see a lot of the craftsmanship on the dash, so make sure you check it out as you get in. Steering wheel shape. Interesting how the engineers really go into a lot of in-depth study on how to make a design for a steering wheel. They took the engineers and a pro driver and they put gloves on him that had sensors on the inside of all of his fingers and his thumbs. And he put his hands on the wheel and he drove a road course. And he was actually able to take a computer and analyze which part of the wheels he was grabbing, how much pressure he had, and how he was holding his hands. So when you run your hands around the wheel, you'll find different shapes. And that's what these little circles are showing over here on the side, is the different shapes you're going to see on different parts of the wheel. So again, just a little bit more engineering on how they tried to make this setup for a driver. In our hybrid vehicle, we have a bamboo wheel. This is interesting because the engineers actually go out and select the bamboo. Of course, it's a renewable material that makes it a little easier than wood. They take it and they split the tree, they glue it all together, and they hand form this, bend it, and sand it all by hand. So make sure you get in the hybrid model, grab the steering wheel, you'll notice the difference. Something that's new for us this year, that we do have on some European cars, and I'm sure you've experienced it before, is our different turn signal and wiper switches. For the left side, for the wiper switch, it's a momentary. If I just tap it one way or the other, then I get like 3 blinks out of the flashers. If I push it down, it'll come back to neutral, but it will stay on until you make the turn. If you don't make a turn, just tap it up the other way and it will cancel it. On the right side, I have the switch that's actually going to control the wipers. Now on this one, at the top, we don't have rain sensing wipers, but on the bottom one we do, and the button on it is in the very end of the stalk. So if you want auto wipers, so it's actually using the sensor in the windshield, you push that button and actually be in the auto mode instead of pulling it down 1 notch that we've had in the past. A little bit difference in the switches. Climate control, you get 2-zone climate control on the standard model, you get 3-zone climate control on the luxury. Just a little bit difference in the way the climate's controlled. Mark Levinson, if you get that feature, is 835 watt, 17 speaker system, and wow, what a system. If you've got a CD and want to plug it in, or a DVD, plug it in, listen to this system if you get the one with the Mark Levinson. Here's the 12.3-inch multi-information display. It kind of splits up into like 3 screens. We still have only an 8-inch nav screen. And on the right side of this, we have kind of like an information screen. On this one, if I have this tab, I have the climate control. If I put this one on, then that's your audio. And this one is more of your driving economy meter. So you can push any one of these buttons and get those different screens on the right side. If I'm into a navigation, I'm going to show this screen, and then of course once you get past that, then you get your full 8-inch screen. Then, as Mark mentioned, we get the new Enform 2.0 featuring the apps suite. I want to talk about this a little bit because we do have demonstrations out on the track today. I have Bill Camp and Kevin Pratt will be out there. They have the cars staged already with this already loaded. Now, don't try to put your phones on it because you don't have the program, because I'll mention that in just a second. But first of all, it comes with Bing, iHeartRadio, movie tickets, Open Table, and Pandora. Soon to come, we're going to have Facebook and Yelp. Now, Yelp is on there today, but it's not finished, so it's not active. The only one today that you'll experience, if you want to experience, is Bing is voice activated. The rest of them are not voice activated. Those will all be functional once we launch the car in February. Now, Enform 2.0, the reason I said you can't pair your phone to it. It takes a special program called Lexus Enform, and you probably pulled it off if you've been with Lexus a while. You already pulled it off our iTunes library. It's got Lexus Enform. That's what's on the current generation vehicles for Enform. This is a new one, and if you once this comes live on there, you'll be able to download it. You're able to download all of these programs via the cloud. It comes onto your phone. Then once you pair the phone to the car, now all these go to your car. So then if you ever need it updated on these programs, it's all done via the cloud. You don't have to do anything else with that. It's all on your phone. Everything's handled via your phone. So we have phones out there available for you to use and try it out if you want. Okay, we have iPhone, I think, and BlackBerry, or maybe a Droid. I don't remember which ones we have, but we do have a few of the phones. Oh, and it reminds me, we're only going to offer it with 3 phones: the BlackBerry, the Droid, and the iPhone. Okay, safety. We've always been about safety, and this car does come standard with 10 airbags. This is our first time for us. We have a front passenger knee airbag that is part of the glove box door. Okay, so when you get in, if you open the glove box, you notice it's a little bit thicker, and that's just because it is the airbag for the knee airbag. We've added a rear passenger side seat airbag as well, and that's standard on all of our cars. Parking aids, if you put it in reverse, you get this grid in the back. A lot of people backing into a parking space never get it straight, right? Well, if you back it up with these lines on the side and they line up with the lines that you're backing into, you'll be backed in straight. Notice on the right you do have our parking sensors to tell you if you're getting close to something. But notice these 3 buttons at the top. If it's in blue when you're in the car, that's an active button. This button to the left of that is for the night view. If you're at night and you have night view turned on, then you can click that one. Then the right side of that screen will come up night view, or you can have night view in the 8-inch nav screen. And on the right of that is for your phone. For the next screen, heads-up display is available, and you can change that from eco mode, sport mode display, or audio display. And if you're in navigation, you get the navigation, turn arrow, or in the eco mode driving if you're in the hybrid. Lane keep assist. You all are probably aware of that. We've introduced that a couple of models ago. But if you're going on the luxury drive, you can plug it in and try it. If the car has it, turn it on. Then over 30 miles per hour, you'll be able to, once it senses the lines that you're going to be going in between, once it senses the lines, just try to veer out of that line and see what the car does. Lane keep assist is try to electronically try to keep you in between those 2 white lines. So make sure you try that out if you get it on the track today. For the first time for us, we get the tire pressure indicating which tire it is that may be low. So it does have the left front, left rear tire, and you can tell by this one, it looks like right front may be a little bit low. So that's the first time for us to have that in the position. We also added a blind spot monitor. This uses a milliwave radar in both rear quarter panels. So if you get a vehicle coming up behind you in that blind spot area, your rear view mirror on the outsides will have the icon on the outside of the mirrors, and if something is in your blind spot, it's going to be lit. If you flip your turn signal in that direction, it's going to flash. So it kind of warns you there's something in your blind spot. So check that out today as well. Night view, we still use our near infrared light as I showed you on the LED lighting system, and it's showing out in front of you, and the camera that receives that back is up by the rear view mirror. And again, it displays in the nav screen or the screen to the right of that once you hit the map voice button. Closed eye detection. Again, we launched this back a little earlier where we had the face monitor, where it's going to map the center of your face, and if you wasn't paying attention and you was going to crash, you was going to get warned, right? Well, now we're going to look at your eyes. So make sure you get in the car, you brush your teeth, comb your hair, you're going to get your picture took. It's going to map your eyelids. So when you get in, it kind of looks at your eyelids, how wide they are, and if you have it turned on and you're driving, long driving distance, and your eyes starting to sag a little bit, and you're going to crash, it's going to warn you again. So it's looking at your eyes as well as if you're looking ahead or not, okay? It's going to drive for you soon, so watch it. Anyway, packages and options. You have a thumb drive on your desk that has the full-blown long lead press material. It goes a lot deeper than what we went today. So you have the whole presentation on that, and all of the packages and the available options is listed in that. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Mark, and we'll finish up. Thank you very much.